Hello, Donna Kato here. Welcome to my channel. Now, 2023 is the year of the rabbit in the Chinese calendar. And I am a rabbit, and so I thought this year perhaps I should make something that will hang in my car, a lucky rabbit for the year of the rabbit. Now, I haven't done cute in a very long time. So I'm going to start off by kind of taking you through how I arrived at this rabbit face, because I have to tell you, I was just a little confused because it had been such a very long time. So this is actually my template drawing, and I will upload a sheet of them in different sizes that you can access from the description, from the class description. Okay, so where to begin when you're feeling a little uncomfortable about something? Well, I went to the internet and I think I Googled cute rabbit drawings, and this website came up, and Shihori Obata, a place for the little thoughts, and 20 cute, easy bunny rabbit drawing ideas. And indeed, they are extremely cute. So if you'd like, definitely check it out. Now, this struck me as a nice, basic, cute rabbit face. Certainly doable, and it's perfect for my little fob. So I took that and I changed it. I changed it to suit my taste. So the ears I brought closer together. I did give him cheeks, and the eyes turned into little dashes, and the nose is just a little bit of clay. So that's what happened to his face. Now, there were intermediate faces along the way, but what really kind of turned the tide for me from this face to get me here was really this pen. Now, I bought this pen at what my family calls the Japanese dollar store. Now, it isn't really a dollar store. Everything in there is $2.25. But so cute, so cute. So essentially, I took this face and I borrowed it. I just borrowed that face because I thought it was pretty adorable. Okay. So that is how I got to this point. Now, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I will describe it because I'm reshooting this because for some reason I decided I had to talk it through for a good 10 minutes, which seemed excessive. So I simply took this parchment paper, put it on here, and because it's an iPad, you have to be a little careful because you can change it, right? You can change it. So I did this, and very lightly I traced it with a pencil. Now, once I had the tracing, that's when I changed it. I made my bunny more jowly. As I said, I brought the ears together, and I gave him a little chin. And I eliminated this. I can't remember what it's called. I will have to look that up. And I changed his little nose. So it's not that little V shape. It's going to be a little tiny bit of clay that I roll and then press to the surface. And he's got little round cheeks. Okay. The heart is essentially the same sort of, but you know, that's something that you can change as you like it. You can make it puffier, you could elongate it, whatever you happen to prefer. So this is my template. This is what I'm going to be using, and that's how I got here. Now, cute, just for a couple seconds, cute is not objective. Cute is subjective. People have very different ideas of what cute is. Some people like the eyes extremely close together. Some people want them wide set. Some cute, for instance, rabbit drawings have big round eyes. And some have little tiny slits. So you, of course, can make any face you like. But if you're struggling with that, then a good place to look and get ideas is, of course, on the internet. Okay, I managed to take 10 minutes and turn it into 5, which is a vast improvement. So let us get started on our class. Okay, I'm back. Now, one of the problems I encountered with this bunny was that he was a little thin. You see, the way it's put together is with a screw eye pin, so the piece should be thick enough to accommodate that screw eye pin without running the risk of screwing and punching through the front or the back. So it should be thicker. Now, this was rolled through the thickest setting of my pasta machine, which is 0. It's not thick enough. So it's got to be at least the thickest setting, 0, and the bunny on the front, or, well, it's got to be about a setting 3, so that these two pieces together will be thick enough to screw in. All right, now you can see the way I finish this is just by painting the edge, and I'm going to do it the same way. I could add a very thin sheet of black clay, bring the clay up along the edge and outline the whole piece that way. But I really don't want to cure the white any more than I have to. And that is why I'm going to cure the back separately. I'm going to make the front. I'm going to put the front on the back. We shall see if this works. Okay, so what I have here is actually scrap clay that I put a thinner sheet of black on, and I rolled this whole sheet through the thickest setting of my pasta machine, which is setting 0. I'm going to work on this paper for now. Actually, I have changed my mind. I am working directly on this tile. I'm going to work on the tile because once I cut the shape out, I'm just going to cure it right on the tile. Now, what is that bump? Ooh, that bump. A little piece of clay. So you see, even the tiniest bit of clay underneath can create a small problem. Okay, so. Da, 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 da. Whoops. Okay, so there we go. I just smoothed it on. Now I'm going to take Mr. Bunny Man and I'm just going to slide him to the corner because I want to be able to use the rest of the sheet. And I'm just cutting around the perimeter like so. And I will continue poking these holes with the acupuncture needle. And after I've done that, I'll be back. All right, so I transferred the marks, and now I'm just going to cut the excess away like this, and then set this aside for later use. Okay, so make sure that the clay is stuck to the tile. Now, the way we cut is the way the paper people cut. You know, when they're doing decoupage and that kind of thing. They don't move the scissor through the clay. They don't, through the paper, like moving the scissor. They actually kind of hold the scissor in one place and they send the paper through the cutting edge of the scissor. Now, that's what we're going to do here with a scalpel. Okay, so let's just give it a start. And now I am going to move the tile and the clay into the scalpel. Now, if you watch, you see that my hand really isn't moving. I'm just trying to hold it upright and then move the tile into the blade. And as long as the tile, the bottom of the tile, will freely slide against your work surface, you're gonna be fine. Okay. All right. There we go. There's Mr. Bunnyman. Now, Mr. Bunnyman, the back of Mr. Bunnyman, see how thick he is? He is going to be baked in the oven, and I'm going to bake him for a good long time. I want him to be very, very, very strong. So I'm going to bake him for 40, 45 minutes. And I am going to take my acupuncture needle and just pierce some holes in case there's air underneath, okay? Or air in the clay that will make bubbles. Good deal. All right, so let me get this in the oven, and when it's up, I'll be back. Okay, the piece is in the oven, so I lied. I'm coming back sooner. Now, here we got his face, and I've rolled the white and the pink through setting number 3 on my atlas, and I rolled the black clay through setting number 8 on my atlas. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm working on deli paper. I am just going to take my, hello, where are you? Ta-da! This guy. And I am just going to go around the ear insert. Both of them. I'm going to indicate where the center of the cheek is. Going to indicate where his cute little nose is. And his eyes, the corners of his eyes. Okay, so here we go. Now, what I have to do is I have to remove the ear inserts. You know, it's so much easier if you have a cutter. I don't have a cutter, so I'm going to have to do it kind of the hard way, which isn't too hard. Now, this is the situation. We're working thin, like this. This is, I said setting 3, is much better than working thick because it's more difficult to cut through accurately a sheet that's much, much thicker. And because this is color replacement, I'm going to cut it, then I'm going to cut the pink one, I'm going to drop the pink one in. And so working on a tile would not have been good. It'd be easier to cut if this clay were on a tile, but once it's on the tile, I really can't do much with it. But let me think about that. Maybe my thinking is totally backwards. Hold on. I am back. And you know what? There is no reason not to work on a tile. I have worked and done this color replacement business for so long that I automatically reach for this paper and I do it the same way every single time. Why? There is no reason on the face of the earth that I can't work on this tile and do the color replacement that I have always done on this paper. There is no reason why this won't work. And my inability to see a different way is kind of based on my experience and falling into a certain pattern and then not considering that there's another way or a better way. All right, so what I'm going to do is the same thing we did before, which is cut out like this. This is a little more difficult simply because the tile is big. The tile were a bit smaller. I think it might be slightly easier. Yeah, we get caught in our loops. I like to think of it as a loop. I get caught in the loop, and then once that happens, sometimes you don't see the alternatives to what you do or what you have always done out of habit. Yeah. As I said, I've been doing this quite a while. So I guess sometimes I should just force myself to think about things in a totally different way. You know, it's not as if I don't have things that I can still learn about clay, because you know what, guys? I have a lot of things I could learn about clay. All right, so let's cut the ear insert and then put them in. I'll just do one, because you shouldn't have to watch me do them all. Well, both. As I said, this is a little difficult simply because the tile is too big, or maybe my hands are too small. Oh. I think I will take a break and wash my hands. All right, so I will repeat with the other ear, but let's just move on for a moment. I am going to use the smaller cutter for the cheek. Now, this size is between this and this. And I use a smaller one, and I think the smaller one works better. Okay, so the way you locate the center is just by taking the cutter and lightly impressing where you think the center of that piercing is. And I'm a little bit off. So I will move it a bit this way, and that's better. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Take this out. I should have cleaned my cutter. Maybe if I'm really careful, I can get rid of that black clay or push it down in the hole. Yay. Yay me. Okay, now I'm going to cut a pink one. I'm going to do the good old turn it over trick. So the sharp corner is up and the dull corner is down. Okay, so now I will finish. I will do the other cheek and I will do the other ear, and then I will be back. Okay, so I got the cheeks in and the ear inserts in, and now I am going to join them. Okay, and essentially the tile is serving the purpose of that second sheet of clay. It's so weird. So weird. You know, I'd never thought of it that way, but ladies, I learned something that I think is very valuable. To me, it's valuable. To try to see the alternatives that will make things a bit easier, because I have to tell you, this made it a lot easier. A lot easier. Holy Toledo. All right, so let us do the remaining features. Simple stuff. That's where rolling this clay very thin, setting number 8, comes in handy. Because I'm just going to cut a strip that I think is the width of the eye. Like so. Okay, now I'm just going to cut a teeny tiny little piece. Like that. Let's just lay it on and then cut the second one teeny like that. I'm going to cut it again. If I cut it closer to the tip of my blade, I won't interfere with the other one. And this strip I cut is enough for about 1,000 rabbits. Okay. Oink. There we go. Oh, cute. Oh, okay. I can't believe what happened today. It's like the light bulb went on. Oh my goodness. Okay. So this nose is a little larger, but let's see. Okay, bunny, you're going to get a slightly larger nose. Okay, and I'm not rolling these in, because if I roll that in, it's going to get wider. If I roll this in, his nose is going to be huge. So I'm just going to leave them like that. They're raised on the surface. That's okay. All right, now let's cut him out. Just align the cheeks and the ears. Once again, take your needle and pierce around the perimeter as we did with the other piece, and then cut it. So I'm not going to show you that because you saw me do the other one. So, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I cut the bunny, but I still have to lift him because I want to put him on the cured bunny back. Okay? I can't cure him like this and expect the two cured pieces, to perfectly align. I have to take this. He's raw. And I have to get him off. Now, that is the one problem with this strategy of using the tile. But I still think it's better, because the way the ears that Pink inserted is much better than the other. Okay, so to remove this raw clay, you're going to take your blade. I'm using a stiff blade, and I always slightly curve it, just ever so slightly. And just take your time. You can see what I'm doing. I'm sort of moving the blade like this, right? And working it slowly, just a little bit at a time to get it up. So in one way it made the process quite a bit simpler. And in another way it just created just a little kind of bump in the road. Nothing too hard or difficult to deal with. Because there he is. He's loose now. So when the backing is cured and cool, then I will take his face, I will put him on the backing, I will try my best to align the raw clay with the cured clay. Then we will bake it again. Okay, so I'll be back. All right, so the base bunny is cured. He's still stuck to the tile, and he's ready for the top bunny. Top bunny. All right, so I'm going to use Polypaste, and I'm going to take my Polypaste, and I'm just going to spread it. And the piece is still a little bit warm, which is just fine. It's not hot, it's just a tad warm. It's certainly not hot enough to cure the Polypaste. You know what? I'm filling the little pinholes with the Polypaste. Okay. You can, of course, also use liquid clay. Okay, Polypaste on. All right, now, it's going to be easier to do this if I'm holding this guy or if he's down. I'm going to leave him down. I'm going to pick up the uncured bunny rabbit. Oops, flipped him over. Now let's just try to align him with the base. Okay. And I think, yeah, he's doing pretty well. I am going to have to sand the excess away, but that's not really a problem. Okay. Maybe I can actually stretch him out in some spots. Maybe push him in others. Pull the ear out a bit. Okay, Bun Bun, how you doing? Okay, so this ear seems to be a little larger, and this one is a little smaller. I don't think that's a huge issue. So let me see if I can just cut some of the excess away. Just a little bit. Now I am going to have to sand the perimeter. Okay, I'm going to try to stretch you and pull this little cheek part down. I have excess clay in here and not quite enough down here. Yeah, I think this works fine. In any case, I'm going to have to sand the perimeter. That would have happened regardless, so I didn't make more work for myself by doing it this way. Okay, so let's stop for a moment to talk about the advantages. Now, this is just a heart I cut out following the pattern, and I did precisely the same thing as I did here. Well, Not exactly. The thicknesses are the same. But in a case like this, I wasn't really worried about curing that pink clay, so I cured it first. So I did the opposite with the heart that I did with the bunny. So you know why? Because I could. Okay. I have to remind myself there's more than one way to get to an end. And in many ways, this strategy of curing the base first, then putting the insert in, well, we've seen this before, haven't we? If you watch the discs class, the black and white discs, that is precisely what we did. We did the backing discs first, then we laid a clay in, the pattern clay in, and then cured it again. So the advantage is that this clay on the bottom, the base clay, has really been cured. It's very, very strong. So the bunny rabbit has a really nice base of support. All right, so now I'm going to put this in the oven, bake it, and then I'll be back. All right, so here is the bunny. He's cured, the heart too. And my oven was hot, so I actually cured for 20 minutes, and it seemed to be probably in the range of 300, 301. But of course, it dips down a bit too. But he's well cured. But as I'm looking at him at an angle, there are a few little areas that I think I can improve by taking a piece of deli paper and just pressing down. Might be a tiny air bubble underneath that white clay. So I think I can flatten it a little bit more. Just by pushing the air out. And I just took him out of the oven. Okay. I'll do some light sanding after he's cool too. Okay, I'll stop there and let him cool. Or her, not sure. Him or her. Yeah, warm. Not too bad though. I think my hands are really cold. My hands are cold. Arr. Okay, so I will be back when it's time to sand the perimeter. All right, so he's still just a tad warm, but I'm sanding the surface, and I'm using my P180 Abranet. 180, not the 80. The 80 takes clay down really, really fast, but it really scratches too. So a situation like this, I don't want the surface to get too scratched. Okay, now let's remove it from the tile. And to prepare for painting the edge, we're going to be painting the edge. This. I'm going to take, now this is the P80, very coarse. And I am going to do my best, sand okay, and it's funny, the Abranet kind of has a grain, so by cupping it this way, it seems to be a little easier than if I were to cup it this way. Then it kind of grabs. It doesn't glide as smoothly. Now, if you have any areas where there is a lot of excess clay. In other words, let me see if I can find a spot. Right here, there's quite a bit of excess clay, the base clay. So let me see if I can take this blade and chop it away. And everything I can chop away is clay that I don't need to sand away. So it's a good idea just to take a look and see if there are any areas where you can possibly cut away some of this excess clay so you don't have to sand it. It won't always be possible, but there may be some areas that you can chop like this and save yourself a little bit of sanding. Okay, so I will continue in just this fashion. Sanding. The goal, of course, is to have this whole edge nice and smooth for when we paint, okay? All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I sanded the perimeter and it's looking pretty good. Now, if you get into a situation where you have a really tight space you want to clean up and you can't get the sandpaper in there, then you might try one of these metal files. Now, I got a bunch of these at Harbor Freight and they were really cheap. So you can just try working with these files as well. Now, you shouldn't have too much problem because this particular shape is actually very loose. Maybe in here it might be a little more difficult, but I don't think you're going to have any problems with any other areas of the shape. And I will include a link to the actual template. Okay, so you can print it off and use it. All right, let's take our Decoart Lamp Black. I like this because it's matte and it's not going to take much, and the paint is pretty watery, so I don't really have to thin it further than this. Now just carefully, oh look, I got paint on me. Be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful. It's a formula for disaster. And just paint the entire edge. Like this. I think it looks better. It just looks better if you go to the trouble of doing this. Okay, so I will continue and I will paint the edge, and then we'll continue with the screw eye pins. All right, so I'm back, and I'm going to put the screw eye pins in. I put one in the bunny, and I have to put one here and one on top of the heart. All right, so as an aside, this pink color is just a ton of white and a little bit of magenta. So it's one of those very easy colors to mix. Now I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to position it close to the center, and I'm piercing a hole right there. And that is where the screw eye pin, the tip, will be inserted. Okay. So let's give this a go. Gonna find that spot. And the black, it's just hard to find. Push it and then screw it. Now it looks like I'm a little bit off center. I think it's going to be fine. Now I'm gonna take my glue and apply a bit of glue to the threads of the screw eye pin. And now let's start to screw it into the clay. I don't think it has caught yet, but at some point the screw catches the clay, and then as you screw it, it kind of pulls itself into the clay without you applying any pressure whatsoever. And that's where we are now. I mean, I can take this and just spin it, and the tip of the screw is pulling itself into the clay, like so. There we go. Now let me get rid of some of this glue. All right, I will put the other one in, and then we will assemble the pieces. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, now we're going to take the oval jump rings. You guys know, use ovals, not rounds. Go through one, feed the other one through, then close it. Boom, done. Okay, now I need another one at the top. Well, I learned some things in this class, and I hope you did too. Okay, now let me take my chain, and you know what? I found a smaller lobster claw. I think that's going to work better. So I should have attached the chain. There we go. Like so. Then what I have to do in terms of securing it is actually, let me close this. I'm a little bit off. Like that. Okay, excellent. Oopsie. Oopsie. And I'm going to attach a ring. You know what? These are large enough, so the lobster claw will simply go through this ring. Like this. Just an extra ring on there. Open the lobster claw clasp. The other one was quite large. And there we have it. And this will slide over my rear view mirror in my car, I know, and then it will hang below. Now I have a bunch of charms, and I will put them on. You can see from the original piece, I've just sort of attached them with oval jump rings. Da, da, da. Come on, turn over. Turn over, guy. And I will do the same with these. Okay, and here they are. So sometimes, you know, you have to attach one or two to get the piece to hang facing forward. So you'll just do a little experimentation, but it's quite easy to do. Okay, so this is the one just made. And this is the one where I did the back first. I cut out the back, I prepared the front, and after the back was cured, I put them together and I baked them. So the white clay was baked one time. This was made basically in the, well, no, this was made in one fell swoop too. What I did was I took the white, I backed it with black. I did all the, cutting out these various things, inserting the pink cheeks and inserting the ears and, doing all the rest. And then I baked it one time. Now, I had rolled it through the thickest setting of my pasta machine, which is 0, but it wasn't thick enough. I needed probably another sheet, maybe 3, to make it thicker. Now, it turned out all right. I got the screw eye pin in, but it may be more difficult for you to do. So this is not an ideal strategy for this particular piece if you're going to use screw eye pins. All right, here is a third one. Now, my nephew is also a rabbit, so I made him a rabbit. I'm going to send him this little bunny rabbit. And I did it the opposite way. In other words, I did the face through setting number 3, as I did here, but I cured it first. Then I applied the backing to it, cured it again. So in this instance, that white clay has gone through the oven 2 times, not once, but twice. So let's examine the white. This is 1 time. This is also 1 time, but I might have baked it slightly longer. Maybe the oven got a little bit hotter. So you can see it isn't as white as the one on the left. Here's the one that was put through the oven 2 times. The white was actually cured twice. And you can see that it is the most different. Now, I don't think it's totally unacceptable. I don't think it looks bad, but it is not as white as this one, and it's not even as white as the middle one. So here's what I think of these methods of working. This method worked the least well, I think, because I needed the thickness. Now, if I had made it thicker to begin with and followed the same basic procedure so that I only baked it once, it would have been far more difficult to cut these pieces out and put them in a way that they looked really good. The lines that separate the colors would probably not have been as clean, and it is much more difficult to take a sheet of clay that is maybe 1 plus 3, or 0 plus 3, that's quite thick. So it's difficult to cut with a scalpel. It is quite difficult. Okay, so this is the least, I think this works the least well. It works, but it's really the worst of the 3 options. Second one is this, where I made the front, made the cat face first, cured it, then backed it, then baked it. That worked. The second, okay, this worked the best. Cutting the back out, baking the back first, constructing the white face with the pink insets. After the back was baked, then I joined them together, put the piece in the oven so that the back was baked 2 times, but the face was only baked once. So I hope that makes sense. That, and as I said earlier, I'm sure I said it somewhere in the class, I get so used to working in a certain way. This is the way I have always worked. The face, the focal point, the piece that you see is done first, and then the backing gets done because this is the most important part. But ironically, it's the part that should not be done first. The back should be done first. So this is also the strongest. This would be the second to the strongest. And actually, this might be the strongest because all the clay was baked at least twice. This is probably the weakest. Okay. Whew. Let's see. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. One last thing. If you're not a painter, like I'm not a painter, I mean, it should be obvious to all of you that I am not a painter. I wish I were a painter. I'd love to be able to paint. This is about my speed. See those highlights? That's what I can do. But don't do that with a brush. Use a ball stylus. You know, like the nail salons with them putting dots and stuff on your nails. They don't use a brush for that. They use a ball stylus. Boink, boink, ball stylus. I gave this little guy a mouth off to the side. Ball stylus and black clay and black paint. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the class. I hope you learned something because you know what, ladies? I did. And, you know, I find that I'm always learning something with clay. Sometimes I feel like, you know, it's obvious I should know better, but whatever the case. So if you've enjoyed it and you learned something from it, I hope you'll like and subscribe. I appreciate that. So for everybody, please have a happy new year. And until we meet again, I'm Donna Kato. Bye. Hi guys, I'm not quite gone yet. I decided to include this little clip. I also sped it up so you don't have to watch it in real time. Anyway, you should be able to figure this out based on the class. But I thought I would just put it in there anyway. But I have to tell you, the clay has been rolled through the same setting, setting 3. And I used the same cutters. I used the smaller cutter for the eye, and I used the larger cutter for the cheek. This was before I kind of figured out that you could work on the tile directly. So this bunny was created sandwiched between 2 pieces of deli paper. And the way I would finish it would be actually to take the little bunny face and do what we did in class, which is to press it to a cured back. All right, so I think that's it. I think you should get it. So enjoy.